Hey mathematics learners, welcome to Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. So on today's video tutorial, guys, we are going to be having a look at the last question from the grade 12 Mathematical Literacy Paper 2 that was written in June 2023. And in this video tutorial, guys, we're going to be looking at question 5.1, we're going to be looking at question 5.2, and we're also going to be doing question 5.3, okay? And these questions, guys, fall under the umbrella of maps and plans, right? And other representations of the physical world. In particular, we're basically analyzing maps, okay? And using these maps to help us answer questions, okay? So please make sure that you watch the entire video tutorial. I already sent you guys the questions or the pictures of these questions, and I asked you guys to basically do these questions on your own before you watch these video tutorials. So I hope you guys actually did that, because when you do that, then you get to see where you basically go wrong or where you basically miss important concepts. Okay, so before we get started with today's video tutorial, guys, please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Please make sure that you click on that notification bell so that you get notified every single time I upload a new video tutorial, guys. And also please don't forget to give all these video tutorials a huge thumbs up, guys. It really helps the channel grow, and it really helps the channel to reach more learners that want to better their mathematics maths. So without any further ado, guys, let's get started with today's video tutorial. Like I mentioned, guys, we're going to be having a look at question 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. This is the last question, okay, from the grade 12 Mathematical Literacy Paper 2 that was written in June 2023, and it falls under the umbrella of maps, plans, and other representations of the physical world. And we're basically analyzing two route maps that are given to us, and we're going to be basically using those maps to help us answer questions that are given. Okay, so let's have a look at question 5.1. Lanri, Nell, and three friends plan to drive to the Sunny Pass in KwaZulu-Natal. They will travel from Johannesburg and stay at Nkomazana, right? So we are told that an extra C shows the route map to Nkomazana, okay? We are told that we need to use the information above and an extra C to answer the questions that follow. Guys, I've been saying, when you're basically doing mathematical literacy, at this point, you need to have a highlighter. You need to learn that in every question, you need to highlight the keywords, okay? Key things that are given in your statement, key things that are given in your question, okay? So here we are told that, okay, Lani, Nawa, and three friends. So we can already see that it's 5 people, okay, that are going to be traveling together, okay? So obviously they are driving to the Sunny Pass in KwaZulu-Natal, and they will travel from Johannesburg, and they will stay at Nkomazana, all right? Okay, so let's just have a look at an extra C and see what is basically given to us in an extra C. So we can see here that with an extra C, we are given the route map to Nkomazana, right? We are given the first one here, right? Which basically just shows like a zoomed in view of the road that they're going to be on and the different towns that they're going to pass as they travel from Gauteng to Durban, okay? So if they're moving from Gauteng to Durban, right, we are basically told that, okay, we see that if they're traveling here, okay, on the N3, we see that they're going to basically exit here, right? They're going to exit here. So they're traveling, and they're going to exit the N3 and turn on to the R16 to get to Nkomazana. So that is a very important part that you need to remember, okay, even for the next questions that we're going to be looking at. Okay, so I'm going to just repeat that. Okay, so they're traveling from Gauteng to Nkomazana. Okay, so they're driving on the N3. Then, okay, after Howick, right, they exit onto the R617 and they continue to drive along this route up until they get to Nkomazana. Okay, So they don't continue on the N3 and go all the way to Durban. Okay, they exit on 99, which is Underberg, and they go on to Ngomazana. Okay, so please take note of that. That is a very, very important point. Okay, so this is basically what's happening. Okay, a route map basically shows the main roads in a particular area. Okay, so we see that this route map is just basically showing us the main roads that Lanri and Nyawo, okay, are going to be on as they travel to Ngomazan. Okay, all right, so let's have a look at the questions that are given to us. All right, so question 5.1.1 says, write down the road number on which they will travel from exit 99 to Boulevard. Okay, so what is the road number, right, that they will travel on, right, after they've exited 99 to Boulevard. Okay, so you're gonna basically have a look at your route map. Okay, what is the road that they basically then travel on after they've exited on 99? Okay, so what do you see when they exit on 99? So they exit on 99 onto this road. So what is that road number? It is R617. They just wanted the road number. All right. Question 5.1.2 says, give the distance from Underberg to Heimville. So we're going to start from Underberg. Okay, so when a question says from, just remember that the town that is given after the word from means that that is your starting point. So if we start at Underberg and we go to Heimville, what is that distance? Okay, so we're going to look at our route map again. So what is the distance then from Underberg? So this is Underberg to Heimville. What is that distance there? Do you see that it's given as 6 kilometers? So we're going to write that down. Next question, 5.1.3. After driving 2 kilometers from Heimville, the road splits to the left and the right. State in which direction, left or right, they must drive. Okay, so we are basically told that after driving 2 kilometers, so I'm going to just open here. Okay, after driving 2 kilometers, so they're at Heimville. After driving 2 kilometers, so they're here. Do you see that after driving that 2 kilometers, the road basically splits to the right and to the left? Okay, we need to state in which direction, left or right, they must drive. Remember, this group is driving to Nkomazana, right? So the direction that they're going to take to get to Nkomazana is definitely not going to be right, okay? But it's going to be left, okay? So after that 2 kilometers, okay, the direction that they need to take is left. Let's have a look at the next question. Question 5.1.4. We are told that it is 16 kilometers from Heimville to Ngomazana, right? So if you move from Heimville to Ngomazana, you basically are going to travel 16 kilometers. Okay, the distance between Ngomazana and the hotel is 4.4 kilometers. Calculate how many kilometers after the split in the road the hotel indicated with the age on the map is located. Okay, so if we basically have a look at this map here, okay, they basically told us that the distance from Heimville to Ngomazana, right, is 16 kilometers. Okay, so the distance from Heimville to Nkomazana is 16 kilometers. Okay, then we are told that the distance between Nkomazana and the hotel is 4.4 kilometers. So the distance from Nkomazana to this hotel, right, that distance there is 4.4 kilometers. Now, we need to calculate how many kilometers after the split. So where is the split? This is the split, okay? How many kilometers after the split in the road the hotel is located? So we're trying to determine how many kilometers, okay, would they drive from the split to that hotel, okay? So how are we going to get that distance there, all right? So what we're going to do, guys, we already know that if you're moving from Hineville to Mkomazana, we are told that that was 16 kilometers, okay? So if we take that 16 kilometers and you minus 2, you minus this 2, it'll put you on the split, okay? So if you take 16 kilometers and you minus 2 kilometers, that'll put us on the split, okay? Then what do you see? That tells us that, okay, the distance from Gomazana to the split is therefore equal to that 14 kilometers that you're going to get, okay? However, now we want to find what would then be the distance from the split to the hotel. If we are already told that the distance from Komazana to the split is 4.4 kilometers, then all that we need to do, then you just take that 14 kilometers and you minus the 4.4 kilometers, and then that would then give you this distance that they need to travel from the split to the hotel. Okay, so let's just write that down. Okay, like I mentioned, we're going to take that 16 kilometers. That is just the total distance from Heimville to Mkomazana, right? Then we're gonna minus that 2 kilometers, right, to basically get us to the split. Then we're gonna minus that 4.4 kilometers, okay? And that is going to basically give us the distance from the split to the hotel, okay? So if you punch that into your calculator, you'll find that that distance then in kilometers is equal to 9.6 kilometers. All right. And we are basically done with question 5.1.4. Okay. How would you know that that 9.6 kilometers is actually correct? Okay. I mean, if we already know that if you minus this 2 there, right, it gives you 14, that just tells you that if you take that 9.6 kilometers from the split to the hotel, plus from the hotel to Nkomazana, you still need to get to that 14 kilometers. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed question 5.1. It was just an easy, straightforward question, right? I don't think there were any problems there. You just need to make sure that you read your questions properly. Okay, let's have a look at the next question, question 5.2. So in question 5.2 now, okay, we are told about the accommodation, okay? So let's have a look. It says Ngomazana offers 2 sleeper and 6 sleeper accommodation options, okay? The rates given in table 3 are per cottage per night, okay? So this is table 3, and table 3 represents the rates per cottage per night, okay? We are given the accommodation. So the options are, you can choose to basically get the 2 sleeper at Stone Cottage or Rose Cottage, okay? Or you can decide to go for the 6 sleeper at Valley Cottage or Cottage, okay? And then the prices are midweek is from to Thursday, right? You'll pay 1,150, okay, for the 2 sleeper. For the 6 sleeper, you'll pay 2,640, okay. And then the rates, how much you'd pay in the weekend from from Friday and Saturday nights, right? 1,250 for the 2 sleeper, 2,730 for the 6 sleeper. Okay. Then you're also told that the single night surcharge is 200 for a 2 sleeper and 300 for a 6 sleeper. Okay. So it basically tells us that if you decide that you just want to stay over just for one night, right, then you would have to pay 200 for the 2 sleeper and 300 for the 6 sleeper. So this is only for a single night. Okay, that is the amount that you need to pay in addition to whatever price or rates that they put there. Okay, then we are told, in case you don't know what is a surcharge, they give you the definition there. Okay, they say that a surcharge is an extra amount that is payable. Okay. Use the information above to answer the questions that follow. Question 5.2.1 says, give a possible reason why there is a surcharge on a single night stay. So why would you think they would basically put an additional amount for if you just want to stay over just for one night? Okay. So I mean, any reasonable explanation will be marked correct for this question, right? But then when you also just think about it, if you're just staying over for one night, right? Why would they charge you extra? Okay, so you can just say maybe the owners charge extra so that they can basically clean the cottage and freshen up, put in fresh linen and just get the cottage ready early for the next booking. Okay, so that could be a reason as to why there is a surcharge on a single night stay. What could be another reason? Another possible reason is that maybe they put the surcharge for a single night stay just to encourage people to stay longer than one night. Okay, so any of those reasons, guys, would be accepted, but it just needs to make sense. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that I think that it's to encourage visitors to spend more than just one day, one night at the cottage or at the venue or at the cottage. Okay, so to encourage visitors to spend more days at the venue. Okay, let's have a look at the next question. Question 5.2.2. Name with a reason the cottage you would recommend for the group to book. Okay, so please note, guys, question 5.2 carries on from the information that was given to you guys in question 5.1. Okay, if you have a look at question 5.1, what was basically told to us? Remember, we were told that Lanry, Noah, and 3 friends. Okay, so that means that in total, we've got 5 friends that are traveling together to go to Nkomazana, right? So that information is very important for question 5.2. Okay, we know that we've got 5 friends, okay, that are traveling together. So which cottage would you recommend for the group? Okay, would you recommend the 2-sleeper or would you recommend the 6-sleeper? It makes sense to recommend the 6-sleeper. Why? Do you actually realize that they would actually be paying less if they were to actually go for the 6-sleeper? Just sleeping in one cottage, right, as a group would be, they'd actually pay less, as opposed to if they just decided to then just divide the group into twos, right, and then pay 1,150 for each group. It would be way more expensive. Okay, so the cottage that I would recommend for the group is the Valley Cottage or the Cot Cottage. Okay, so I would recommend the Valley Cottage or the Cot Cottage, right? And then they said that with reason, give a reason why you would recommend this cottage to the group. Okay, so what I basically noticed is that if you were to just take that 2,640 and you were to divide it by 6, please remember that as much as there are 5 friends, right, they are paying for a 6-sleeper cottage. Okay, so if you were to just take that 2,640 and you were to divide that by 6, do you see that each of these friends would be paying a price of 440 per person? Okay, as opposed to if they then decided to just take the 2-sleeper, right? And if you were to divide that price by 2, you'd actually be paying 575 per person. So you can see already that the 6-sleeper is more affordable compared to the 2-sleeper. Okay, so we can also just write that as a reason. Okay, so we can see that the reason why you recommend the Valley Cottage is that the 6-sleeper cottage is cheaper, okay, per person. The rate per person, right, is 440, while the 2-sleeper rate per person is 575. So you can see that the 2-sleeper is way more expensive. Okay, so if your reason is along this path, then it would be marked correct. Okay, let's have a look at the next question, the last question, question 5.2.3. Okay, now states that the total cost for the accommodation will be 8,100 if they stay in the cottage from Thursday to Saturday night. Okay, so it includes Saturday. They're not leaving on Saturday. Okay, so we need to verify sharing all calculations whether his statement is valid. Okay, is he correct when he says that the total accommodation cost is going to be 8,100? Okay, so what do we need to do? We need to determine how much they'll pay for staying there on Thursday to Saturday, taking into consideration the different rates for the different days of the week. Okay, so they're staying there on Thursday. So I'm just making some rough notes. How much will they pay for Thursday? How much will they pay for Friday? And how much will they pay for Saturday? Okay. What is the rate for the 6 sleeper? Okay, on midweek or on Thursday? Okay, we see that it's 2,640. Okay, what is the rate for Friday? We see that the rates for Fridays and Saturday nights, right, is 2,730. And the rate for Saturday is also going to be 2,730. Okay, so all that we need to do is just add up all these prices to get how much will be the total cost for accommodation. Okay, therefore we can just say that the total cost for accommodation will be equal to that 2,640 plus 2,730 times 2, or you can just say 2,730 plus 2,730. Okay, so if you punch this into your calculator, you actually see that the total cost for accommodation will actually be 8,100. Okay, so then we can just confirm that Noah's statement is valid. Okay, because the total cost is 8,100. Cool stuff, right? So we're absolutely done with question 5.2. Let's have a look at question 5.3. Okay, so for question 5.3, we're going to be looking at an extra C. Okay, shows the route from Johannesburg to Durban. The toll gate fees for the Johannesburg to Durban route are as follows. Okay, there are 5 toll gates that were basically given here. It's 5 toll gate fees that were basically given here, right? For the fee at the first toll gate is 56 Rand, second toll gate 77 Rand, third toll gate 82 Rand, fourth toll gate 58 Rand, fifth toll gate 13 Rand and 50 cents. Lanry, Noah, and friends will travel in a Land Rover. Okay, the vehicle has a fuel consumption of 6.42 liters per 100 kilometers. Okay, so we can also just write that as if you travel 100 kilometers, you will use 6.42 liters of petrol. So we can just also write it in that way, because this information is going to come in handy as we have a look at our questions. So just also take that into consideration. I'm choosing to write it in this way because already I'm thinking for whatever question, maybe where they're going to ask me to probably determine how many liters of petrol I will then use for traveling a particular amount of distance, then I will know that I need to multiply by what I want and I need to divide by what I have. Okay, so I'm going to write it like this. 6.42 liters is equal to 100 kilometers, meaning that if I've traveled, or if I travel 100 kilometers, I'm going to use 6.42 liters of petrol. So take that into consideration. Get into the habit of just writing these small notes as you basically go through the information that is given to you. Okay, so this is the seating layout for the Land Rover. We can see that the Land Rover only has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seats that are available for passengers, right? And then obviously 1 seat for the driver. Okay, so it says use an extra C and the information above to answer the questions that follow. Question 5.3.1 indicate whether the following statements are true or false. If the statements are false, give a reason. Okay, so question 5.3.1a, the N3 is the only road on this map with toll gates. Okay, so here, guys, when you basically have a look at Annex C, you need to take into consideration that with Annex C, we are given 2 maps, right? 2 road maps. One road map doesn't show toll gates, one shows the toll gates. So that already tells us that to answer these questions, we are going to focus more on the roadmap from Johannesburg A to Durban B, because that is what contains the toll gates. Okay, but we mustn't forget the information that was also given to us, right, from the route map to Mkomazana, okay? Because remember, with this route map, this basically helps us see where we exit, okay? And that is going to be crucial, very important information for when we now analyzing the map with the toll gates, most especially when we want to determine how much you want to pay for the toll gates, okay? Remember, they go from Gauteng, they travel onto the N3, they exit on 99, and then they move on the R617 to go to Nkomazana, right? So they do not continue onto this region where they go, they pass Pietermaritzburg and then they go to Durban. They do not go in that direction. So you need to take into consideration that is very important. They do not go in that direction. Okay, so what does that mean when it comes to now looking at this map? So if they're starting at point A, that's where they start. Okay, they're starting at point A, that's where they're starting, right? And they are going to Mkomazana, right? So that means that they will be traveling on the N3. They travel on the N3, but remember, right, they need to basically exit before they reach Pietermaritzburg. Actually they do not pass the fifth toll gate. Okay, so they actually exit after Howick, right? So they exit after Howick. So they exit somewhere there. Okay, so this part is not going to be relevant. That section there is not going to be relevant, especially when we're calculating how much they will pay for the toll gate. So you need to remember that as we basically go through the rest of the questions. So do you see how these two route maps work so well with each other to help us answer the questions? Okay, so one is like a more zoomed in view, right? And the other one is more like a higher view of this route. Okay, so let's now have a look at the question, right? Indicate whether the following statements are true or false. If false, give a reason. The N3 is the only route map on this map with the toll gates. So we're looking at the maps with the toll gates. Is the N3 the only road that has toll gates? Let's basically analyze, let's see what's happening here. Do you see that we've got other roads as well that have toll gates? Do you see there? That's the toll gate. Then we also have this road as well. Is it the N17? It also has toll gates, right? Then we also have that road. It also has, so we can see that, okay, the N3 is not the only road on this map that has toll gates. Okay, so we can basically say that that statement is false. There are other roads on this map that have toll gates. Okay, so it's false. There are other roads on the map that have toll gates. Let's have a look at B. Okay, is it true or false? Howick is on the eastern side of Lesotho. Okay, so someone might be like, but ma'am, we are not given a compass, right? Someone might be like, but how are we supposed to know? Because we're not given a compass. But if you just think about it, right, guys, this is like, obviously we're on the continent Africa, and where is north? Okay, north is in that direction because they've just cut out, okay, this map, okay, route map of Africa. Okay, so they've basically just cut out a small part of this road. But where is north? Because we're in the southern hemisphere, so we're here. Okay, so we can just also just write or basically put our own compass there to help us determine whether Howick is on the eastern side of Lesotho. Okay, so just take that into consideration because this is actually an actual route map. Okay, from Johannesburg to Durban. Okay, it's an actual route map of the African continent, right? Where is north? North is in that direction. Okay, so take that into consideration. So is Howick on the eastern side of Lesotho? Do you see that this is Lesotho? Where is Howick? It's on the eastern side or on the east of Lesotho. Okay, so we can then just say it is true. Let's have a look at the next question. Question 5.3.2. State the view represented in the layout picture. So we're given a layout picture of the seating layout of the Land Rover. Okay, so what is that view? Okay, so we can either say this is like a top view of this Land Rover, or we can say that this is an aerial view of this Land Rover. What do I mean by aerial? I mean that it's any view from a great height. Okay, so it's a view from a particular height, so it's an aerial view. Or we can say this is a bird's eye view. So if a bird were to look down at this Land Rover, they would see exactly this view. Or we can say a satellite. Okay, so we can just give any of those answers. Okay, I'm going to say it's a top view of the Land Rover. All right, so let's have a look at the next question. Question 5.3.3. The distance from Johannesburg to Nkomazana is 588 kilometers. The Land Rover covers this distance in 7 hours. Calculate the average speed of this vehicle. So how fast is this vehicle on average traveling? Then we are given a formula that we need to use, which is distance is equal to speed times time. Okay, so we're given the formula. Distance is equal to speed multiplied by time. Okay, we are given the distance. What is the distance? It's told that the distance from Johannesburg to Durban is 588 kilometers. The time to drive, or that they drive from Johannesburg to Durban, is equal to 7 hours. What is the average speed? Okay, so that is what we are trying to determine. Okay, what do you realize about this formula? Okay, it's not, our speed is not isolated. Okay, so one way that we can tackle this question is we can just rewrite this formula to be in a form that we want, where we know that speed is equal to something, or we can just substitute values, right, and then just solve for speed. Okay, so I'm just gonna rewrite the formula first. Okay, so how can we basically isolate the speed? Do you see that they're saying speed multiplied by time? So for us to be able to then cancel out time on the right hand side, okay, what do we need to do? If they were multiplying, then we need to do the inverse of multiplication. The inverse of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by time. If I divide by time on the right, I need to also divide by time on the left. Okay, so what do you see? Time cancels, right? Therefore, the equation, a formula that we can use to calculate average speed is equal to distance divided by time. And then from here, it becomes easy peasy lemon squeezy. We are just going to substitute the values. What is the distance? 588 kilometers. Write the units. What is the time? 7 hours. Write the units. If you take your calculator, 588 kilometers divided by 7 hours, what is the average speed? The average speed is 84 kilometers per hour. So it means that on average, okay, this Land Rover is traveling at a speed of 84 kilometers per hour. So it's very important that you write the units, because when you write the units, then you see that it's just kilometers per hour. If you didn't write those units, some were probably going to say that it's just 84. 84 what? Kilometers per hour. Okay, right. So that is the answer for question 5.3.3. Last question. Question 5.3.4. The accommodation, the petrol, and the toll gate fees for the round trip to Nkomazana will be shared equally amongst all the group members. We need to calculate the total cost per person. How much would each person pay? How much would each person contribute to basically go on this trip to Nkomazana? Okay, you may use 21 rand and 40 cents as the fuel price per liter. All the time when they give you these small statements that tell us about something is equal to something or something is something, you can just write it as an equation, because it's going to come in handy when we're probably doing calculations on how much they need to pay towards the fuel. Okay, so they're telling us that it's 21 rand and 40 cents per 1 liter. So 1 liter is equal to 21 and 40 cents. Okay, so the price for 1 liter, if you just had to go to the garage with your scoop and you just wanted 1 liter of petrol, okay, you would just pay 21 rand and 40 cents. That's very important. So what do we need to do? The first thing that we need to do, guys, we need to determine, we're trying to find the total cost, okay? So in other words, we want to basically determine, okay, we're trying to find the total cost for this round trip. So to go and to come back, okay? So we need to take note of that. When they say round trip, just a single trip, okay? How much is it? And then to come back, how much is it, okay? Okay, so we're going to be basically adding the accommodation cost plus the cost for the toll gates plus the petrol. That is what we're trying to get, okay? For the accommodation costs, we already know, okay? We've already calculated how much they will pay towards their accommodation. Remember, in question 5.2, remember, they have to pay 8,100 towards accommodation. So we're going to write that down. Now, how much are they going to pay for the toll gate? Okay, I'm going to look at the information that is given to us. Okay, we are given 5 toll gates here, but you need to be careful. Don't just add now all these toll gates, okay? Because there's a toll gate that we are not going to reach, okay? If you have a look at this map, right? I've already highlighted there, okay, that we're moving from point A and we're not going to point B because we exit just after Howick. Okay, we exit just after Howick, remember. Okay, we exit just after Howick, then we go to the left there. Okay, so that means that we don't get to Pietermaritzburg. Okay, so when you have a look at this map there, it basically, we are not going to, we are exiting from here. We're cutting it off because we're exiting, so we're not going to reach that 5th toll gate there. So when we're calculating the total that we're going to pay for the toll gates, we are not going to include the toll gate number 5. All right. Okay. So the total for the toll gates is going to be equal to T1, T2, T3, T4. We are not going to include T5. Okay. So it's going to be 56 Rand plus 77 Rand plus 82 Rand plus 58 Rand. Okay, that is the total for the toll gates for a single trip, just going once, okay, from Johannesburg to Ngomazana, right? How much do you get? You get 273. Remember, you're going and you're coming back. So from Ngomazana coming back to Johannesburg, it's the same toll gates. So you need to multiply that by 2, okay? So if you multiply by 2, you will get the total cost for the toll gates is 546. Then we still need to do the calculations for the petrol. Okay. Was the information that was given to us in terms of petrol? How much petrol will they have to pay? We already know, okay, that the distance that they travel from Johannesburg to Nkomazana is equal to 588 kilometers. So we want to determine how much petrol, okay, will this Land Rover use if for the 588 kilometers. That is why I said now it's very important to just write down these small information there, because it's going to come in handy when we want to calculate something. Okay, so how is this going to come in handy? How is this equation going to be useful to help us calculate how many liters of petrol this Land Rover is going to use? Remember, we are told that the vehicle has a fuel consumption of 6.42 liters per 100 kilometers. Okay, so what I like to do is that you just write that, okay, if I travel 100 kilometers, I'm going to use 6.42 liters. Okay, you're gonna basically use this equation to help us then determine how many liters of petrol am I going to use there. Okay, so then with that 588 kilometers, okay, you're just gonna multiply. We're gonna use that equation of 6.42 liters is equal to 100. kilometers. Okay, you're gonna multiply by what we want. We want to determine how many liters of petrol am I actually going to use, or are they actually going to use. Okay, so you're gonna multiply by 6.42 liters, and you're gonna divide by 100 kilometers. Okay, that will just give you a straight answer. Okay, what you also notice by just doing that is that the kilometers and the kilometers will cancel. Whatever answer you'll get is just telling you how many liters of petrol you will then use for just traveling for 588 kilometers. Okay, so you'll get 37.7496 liters of petrol. Okay, they will need 37.7496 liters of petrol to get them to Nkomazana. All right, so we've basically then determined how many liters of petrol they will basically need for this trip. Okay, however, we are not done. We were also given additional information here where we were basically told about how much is 1 liter of petrol. So do you see that we've got another equation here that's going to come in handy in helping us basically calculate the price then that we will have, or the total cost for these 37 liters of petrol that we're going to use. Okay, so here we already know still we've got another equation that we can use to help us get to our answer. We know that 1 liter costs 21 rand and 40 cents. Okay, so now we want to determine how much is going to be the price or the cost for using 37.7496 liters. Okay, so the total cost for petrol is going to be, we're going to take that 37.7496 liters. Okay, then still guys, multiply by what you want. You want to determine what is the cost, right? So you're going to multiply by 21.40 divided by what you have. We've got units in liters, so it's 1 liter. Okay, so you see that the liters cancel. Whatever answer you're getting is just telling us what will be the total cost of petrol that the group needs to basically cover. Okay. Okay, so the total cost for petrol just for the single trip to go from Johannesburg to Nkomazana is 807.84144. However, they are going, they are coming back, a round trip. So we need to multiply this amount by 2. Okay, if you multiply this amount by 2, you will get 1,615.68288. Someone is asking, wondering, why is she not rounding off? I'm not rounding off, guys, because I want to maintain my accuracy. I'm only going to round off my final answer. In this case, right, because I'm already done, that basically means that, okay, this is approximately equal to total cost for petrol, 1615.68. Okay, now we've basically calculated how much they'll pay for petrol. I'm going to highlight how much they'll pay for accommodation and how much they'll pay for the toll gate for the round trip. Okay, we don't have to multiply by 2 for accommodation, guys. Okay, right? So we're gonna just now add up all these values, okay, to get the total cost for this trip. So the total cost is going to be equal to that 8,100 plus 546 plus 1,615.28. Therefore, you will, when you punch that into your calculator, you'll get 10,261.68 cents. Okay, so now remember the question was asking us to basically determine the total cost per person, not what is the total cost for the whole group, per person. Okay, so then we need to basically split this amount, okay, by 5. Therefore, the total cost per person is going to be 10,261.68 divided by how many people in this group? 5. If you punch it into your calculator, guys, you'll get 2,052.336. You want to round that off to 2 decimal places. That is approximately equal to 2,052.3 platform. Okay, so that is the amount or the cost per person. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video tutorial, guys. Just a tip in terms of my teaching style, guys. I think it makes it so much easier when you're given a statement that tells us about something is equal to something or something is something, right? Most especially here, they're telling us you may use 21 Rand and 40 cents as the fuel price per liter. Okay, so you can just say that, oh, that statement is just telling me that 1 liter is actually equal to 21 Rand and 40 cents. Okay, if I'm basically told here that this Land Rover's fuel consumption is 6.42 per 100 kilometers. It basically means that if I have basically traveled 100 kilometers, I would have used 6.42 liters, and then write it as an equation. And when you basically write it in that way, when you basically continue in basically answering your questions, you will see that you just multiply by what you want to divide by what you want. It makes your life so much easier, simpler, okay? And you won't make any unnecessary mistakes. Okay, so that is just my take on this, right? My approach. I feel like it becomes easier when you think of it in that way. Okay, so that is it, guys. We are finally done with this past paper. I'm going to be uploading video tutorials on how you basically work with scales. Okay, how you work with a number scale to determine actual distance, real distance, work with a number scale to determine measured length if given an actual distance, right? Please make sure that you watch those lessons, guys, and also please make sure that you share those lessons with your friends. So that is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload. That is it, guys, and I'll see you guys on my next upload, Distance Learning with Lee, where I make learning mathematics super easy. Bye, guys.